able for 3 vendors to send us your specifications on a vehicle that is built to satisfaction that will perform those duties. We did a response back from one, that's RDK, and they're prepared to speak to it tonight. We got a response from one that said that they didn't have time to do it, and we're still waiting for the third one. Don't think it's gonna come in because deadline date was 5 o'clock today. Now, RDK has done these things, back to what you talked about in the budget. You allowed me to surplus those 2 sanitation trucks at the last meeting, if I remember. Our RDK responded, they took pictures of the truck, went back, and they're making the city an offer for those 2 pieces of truck that probably don't work, $32,500. They're willing to buy those 2 trucks and move them off of our property at no cost. The second part of it is, that $32,000 now can be deposited into the general fund, and also used to pay for the lease, or as we look to get ourselves into a new rear end loader. Now, here's the part that will help tremendously. RDK sent their representative out, Mr. Rain Robinson. He took a look at the Ford F-70, and he was as perplexed as Mr. Floyd and I were. The operator of the truck has no responsibility to check working mechanisms when you are in fact loading household waste. You'd have to be an expert to know it. So what was told us from Daytona is that it was driver error. We have no way of proving it, but it's almost impossible because you can't even see it when it's on operation. That cost us $19,000. Am I happy about it? No, I'm not. And talking to Mr. Kemner, one of the executives, we probably will get no reprieve from it. I want to ask you anyway. We probably won't get a reprieve from it, but I'm going to ask. The other part of that is, that truck now sits on our lot. That truck is sitting on our lot right now, not working, because I just don't want to spend the money on it further. Now, in the process of doing it, also discuss, here's the thing that can help the city of Madison out. They called back and said, well, what's the payoff on the sanitation truck? We're gonna get the sanitation payoff, but it came in a package deal. We also got sanitation truck and the grapple vehicle, if you remember. That's a package deal. But they were able to separate it. In the process of separating, here's the payoff amount for that sanitation truck that doesn't work. 1 year old, $100,701. That's heartbreaking. The payoff for the grappler is $98,987.33. And when you put the 2 together, you're looking close to almost $200,000 the city would pay for 2 pieces now that I have not given you the service that I don't think we can sustain. And so that's why I asked Mr. Kender and Mr. Robinson to come up. Now, before they speak, one of the other things, they have offered to buy those 2 vehicles. They'll buy it, which means that we will be free of the heartache for 4 years of $200,000. I just don't believe that those trucks are gonna hold up for another 4 years. I don't. I can say all day long how inferior it was, that won't change anything now, we're stuck with it. So they have agreed to purchase that rear end loader, get us from under the pavement, which will now save us from having to pay that $2,000+ per month. The same is true for the 2017 Grappler. We've discussed over lunch today and other meetings to look at how do we do it. And so we think we have some answers. Third part is, we do own a 2010 Grappler truck, a second one. It's 8 years old. Inspected the truck today in order to get it up and running, which we've known now for 2 years before my coming over, because I worked with Mr. Floyd and Mr. Bennett. That truck is going to require about $20,000 in repairs. So when you look at the monies in the other, it is heartbreaking. So here's what we'd like to do. I'd like you to consider it. We can sell that 2010 Grappler truck. RDK has agreed to buy it for $45,000. With the 2 that you allowed me to lease for $32,500, you combine those totals, immediately we benefit from $77,500. We looked at the lease offerings, and we think the leases are attractive for these reasons. My objective is to have efficient vehicles on the road so that the citizens can be served. I think that's our job, that's our job. And in the process of doing it, we can get from under the payments for $200,000 over a 4-year period. That's a nice thing. But I want to ask Mr. Richard Kemner to speak to that and tell us about some creative financing I think that you will find, and it won't change the money at all. In fact, it's going to save us some money and be able to take some money and put it to the general fund to be able to pay for the leases. At the end of the day, here's what we benefit from. A brand new rear end loader, fully warranted, by people that are in the sanitation business. The ones that put together what we have now, it was trial and error, and we're thankful. The second part is, we can take that $77,000 and put it in the general fund if you like, or wherever the best place to put it, but we benefit from that right away. It will cost us nothing to get from under the payoffs for both of them. So if you would, Mr. Richard, Mr. Kemner, sorry.
Thank you for your time tonight. Yeah, well, we do a lot of traveling. We do this for all over the country, literally all over the country. This is nothing new that we don't see. When you go out for a bid, if you ask the car dealer down the street for a semi-truck, what are you gonna get? You're gonna take and get whatever is the lowest thing on the pole. When you don't get equipment that's specified for what it's supposed to be doing, that's what you end up with today. Unfortunately, your equipment you have right now is really not being used for what it's designed for. Basically, got big pickup trucks with garbage bodies on the back of them that are used. You have some fantastic people, I will tell you that. The ones I met again today, you have some great people out there on those trucks. And they've had a very, very good attitude, which is really surprising after everything that we've seen they're going through. Now, what we do with the equipment is by doing the lease program, it allows you to have a new truck every 13 months. Okay, what does that take and do? It makes it where you're not responsible for a lot of the maintenance and other items on them, just a simple oil changes and make sure you keep the trucks clean. Every 13 months we bring you a new truck. If you decide that you don't like the white one no more, you want a yellow one, then you go a yellow one. But it's built to the specs designed for doing that job. Okay? A lot of times I'll take you in front of these meetings, people say, well, that's really good, it sounds really wonderful, well, what's in it for you? Yes, there's a profit in it for me, there's some advantages I get to take to by doing business with municipalities. It's very, very lucrative for me. I will take and be a great partner with you. I can give you lots of places I've done business like this before. You'll find out that we don't take and just sell you the truck. If you'll look in that notes, if the truck goes down, who's the one that's responsible for it? You call me. You got my cell numbers on the cards, you got Rainey's number on it. When you get into trouble, we're the one to get you out of trouble. There's no excuses. The trucks that you have now, you do not continue throwing good money. No matter what you do, if you take my program out, do not throw good money at those trucks that you got out there right now. Unfortunately, they've had their time. It's time for them to go on. There's people like me that we take back and recondition them, put them in second, third world countries, or in for spares for some people like yourself that we may need for growing our areas. As the technology changes, the other thing is with the lease trucks going forward, it always allows you to keep up with the technology. As the improvements are made, every 13 months you're rolling into another piece of equipment. You decide you want to go to a tandem axle next time, that's not a problem. You want to decide you want to do something else, that's not a problem. If you want a 3-man cab or a dual steering wheel, those are all things we work out every single day. The relationship I had with Jerome prior to him coming here has been fantastic. He's one of the very few people out there that really digs into what they have. A lot of times we sit in these meetings and it's like, okay, well, what's the bottom line on that one? That's all that we cared about, not the specifications. And we see more and more people getting burnt because of that situation. Unfortunately, right now, both your S750s, they really do need to go no matter what you're just saying today. And don't put any more money into that rear loader. And that quote of a few $1,000s to fix another cylinder, well, what caused that cylinder to break? That main panel underneath it that you spent the $20,000 on, it's probably buckled, and it's probably going to be another $20,000 to $22,000 that nobody's telling you today. So the amount of money that you're going to take and save, if you could do the math on this, the $45,000, the $32,000, the $55,000 you currently are already paying, Well, I was gonna take and pay for your lease for the next 3 vehicles, you have brand new ones for another year. And get those people who have been proud out there. They were today washing that truck that I take, that I give you for $1. They're washing it to keep it clean, they were so proud of it. They're running it without air conditioning because you know what, they love their jobs. Let's give them something good to work with. You'll see us a lot more often up there checking on you also, making sure that things are going properly. Any questions?
What's the amount of the 13, say it again, 13
Thir-
month lease?
13-month leases, you're gonna take me right around the average is around $40,000 per vehicle. So if you take your 45,000 I give you for your 2010 Freightliner, you're gonna take and that, there's $20,000 you're gonna have to do repair and maintenance of that vehicle now before you should really put it back on the street. You're gonna have $32,500 I'm gonna pay you for your surplus trucks that you got on the yard now. To go along with your $55,000 you're currently spending on your lease you have right now, you're at $139,500. You also have the additional, at least $7,000 we're gonna say that you're gonna spend to try to fix the Freightliner now. So you're way ahead of the game for another year, and you've got new equipment.
I think the other part too, is we get from under that 4 years, $200,000 in money. I just don't believe those trucks hold up. Back.
They won't hold up, you can see what's happening now.
So what do we need, a motion?
Yes, ma'am, I would like your approval to proceed with the process. And we'll come back for the second budget reading. We should have everything all done with contract wise, but in the meantime, they gonna let us use that lease, we can go for $1. That's the best we can do. I don't wanna go and borrow a truck from nobody else.
Maybe we need to amend the budget because, the agenda for this.
Is this not on the agenda?
Well,
It's just a budget discussion.
This is
I
part
would
of it.
amend the agenda to include this item, and then I'll tell you what the motion I think should be.
Move the agenda be amended to include the sale of the truck and two sanitation trucks and also the carriage release.
And then put it on the menu.
Okay, we got motion to second, all in favor? Okay,
Then I think the motion should be to approve this plan that Jerome has outlined and ask the R&D company to send us the paperwork to review and give final approval at one of your next
If
meetings.
it's all right, but change the motion, make the motion to approve the plan submitted by the city manager, solutions for viable vehicle fleet
Yes.
or city sanitation.
And then, of course, it's not a done deal until you approve paperwork,
Yeah,
once it's submitted to us.
Yeah, and these figures will be reflected in the budget that comes for second public.
Go ahead.
Is it a
Yeah,
second?
go ahead.
Second? Okay.
Second.
All in favor of moving forward? Aye.
And I don't think you ever finished the item B.
We haven't, but because,
Did we get a motion in a second?
no, because I was still
He had to
discussing,
finish.
Yeah, that was just the sanitation part.
he had to discuss the sanitation trade, we want sanitation.
Okay. Are you ready for the motion second on?
If they don't have any more questions on the budget, then yes, that was it.
What is the total budget?
The total budget is on your budget summary, $9,470,000.
What now?
$9,470,265.
And that includes both the general and the enterprise.
That is correct.
And I think I had given the city manager some information in terms of coming from the property appraiser's office. If you look at it, we've got about 1,500, slightly more than 1,500 parcels. Of those, only about 50% are taxable. You might note there's an amendment coming up, Amendment 1 will affect 78 parcels. That is between 100 and 125,000.
Individual property owners.
Yeah. Subject to homestead.
Okay, our attorney kind of got off track here on B, so we.
So if there are no more questions on the budget, I'm done. I'll answer any questions you have, otherwise we're ready to have a public hearing, have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the,
Fiscal year 2018-29
questions?
No.
Well, I just.
I thought there was something coming tonight.
She just done, she put
Well-
one in the contingency.
Oh, okay, okay, good,
Right.
You'll
That's-
deal with the details of it later.
okay.
You know, normally city commission doesn't get involved as far as what the actual salary is of our regular employees. But anybody that wants to see them is welcome to see them. But I assure you, it will be fair.
You'll be there.
Okay, we close the public hearing. We have a vote. We have some motion and second. All in favor? C, schedule second public hearing, fiscal year 18-19 for September 25th. Is that scheduled anywhere?
Need a motion?
Mayor or city manager consent.
Okay, so we'll shoot for the 25th. Okay. Okay. Okay, we'll table 10.
Let me go back to that date. There'll be a couple of other things on the agenda that night, just to let you know. What are the two things? Awarding the bid on Range Street and the second reading on our impact fees. That's it.
Those items will be listed separately.
Yes, and they will be advertised, all done. Yes, done.
Number 11, discussion possible action on proposed application LDR 18-00 on food trucks. Mayor.
Good evening. We got arthritis, it's too cold in here.
You wanna pull that?
Will you mind?
Oh, man. Okay. What's been happening is I've been getting a lot of requests from food trucks, hot dog carts, and they call them vendors. I've been working with Sandra with the planning council, who was here last month with our land development regulations. She and I have drafted, we worked together, we got a draft for you. The only thing that I see in here, I read over it pretty good, and the only thing that I see, she's got in here, on the first page of this, number B, 4.15.34, general regulations, food trucks may be located on property in zoning districts that allow either restaurants or alcoholic beverages. I wanna have two of those districts. And, case in point is Mr. Billy over there. His property, he wants to be able to go in an OR. Mr. Steve Barrett here is his place is want to be in a residential. And where he's from, and I Googled it, and I told the planning council when I looked at it, these things in a lot of cities, they're almost anywhere. But when she was drafting our LDR, she just put in that one district, so. And
We need to amend our districts or?
see, it hadn't even been started yet. So right now, so the commissioners, before we go ahead and make some decisions. It's being drafted.
So we can redraft that.
You could, yes,
Make-
whatever you guys make a decision on this tonight, I can go back and tell her, then it goes before my P and Z, and then we come back for you guys to do an ordinance to change this, to adopt it in our LDRs.
Mr. Smith said we need to put in here to be located, say it again, please.
Well, in any district, zoning district, if that's what the commission desires.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking, because I got people who are wanting to, Mr. Steve Barrett, actually took stop work on his slope order. Mr. Gideon, he's got property in OR zone. And so,
In the residential area, is this something we have to get approved? I mean, are residents gonna have any issues with this? I mean,
It's right on the corner of 53, before you go to the bridge, you turn to your left, it's right there on that lot.
okay.
It's not really actually in, I wouldn't say in residential,
But it's
but it's
zoned.
zoned, but it's right off the road, you turn.
But if we change it to any district, it does open it up if somebody wants to put it
yeah,
in
I
the
mean,
middle
because
of
they're
it.
popping up everywhere. It just, I guess Madison, we're just not getting them, and so in the last, couple of months, people been coming in, I've actually had to stop the people that call the red truck And then they still open up in another section, so, because our LDR didn't address it at all.
Can I ask a question? Mary, is it permissible to allow them in any areas except for residential, but allow them in residential as a special exception?
You could, but then that special exception is gonna cost them like $150.
We're
Because,
already allowing them as a special excepted in these districts, ain't right?
see, right now, they're just happening. And I've been telling them they can't do it, so the ones that are obeying me, they, like I said, Mr. Barrett was, Mr. Gilliam, he's here wanting you to do the OR. And so, I Googled and I talked to Sandra, she says up to my commissioners. Because I went online and I looked, and Mr. Barrett from Miami said they're everywhere, in the communities and.
And when you researched it and they're everywhere, pretty much so, is that what your finding was, and it wasn't really a problem? Now, is that correct?
I looked at their, land development regulations and everything. They're fine anywhere. So it's up to the commission, I don't.
And at this point, they're looking for guidance in redrafting, decision is not final until it goes through the process.
And now, and they're talking about operational hours, and are they,
Yeah, and now
are they
you
there
wanna-
5 days a week, 7 days a week?
If you wanna look at that, yeah, she said at the time, said you can start a food truck somewhere around 7 AM, and, you know, that would be another thing you look at if it's in a neighborhood. If you wanted to start at 7, 8 AM in the morning, that may be a little problem, for a food truck.
Questions? Mary, under, number 1 on the first page in the middle,
Mm-hmm,
you've got a 1 and a 2 in the body.
mm-hmm.
That number 2, instead of saying less than 1 acre, needs to say more than a half an acre, but less, but not more than 1 acre.
Not more than, okay.
You can't say in one place less than half an acre, in another place less than 1 acre.
Okay,
So you need to make that change.
no problem, sign on there, okay.
And, wanted to call the commission's attention, 2 things. I'm not sure, or I don't think that this addressed food trucks on city-owned property. Like when we have down home days and we allow food trucks in the streets or other celebrations and they're on city property. I don't think you intend for the city to pay itself a fee and go through the process that's here. You may need a section that addresses allowing food trucks on city-owned properties.
For special events.
For
Special
special
event.
events,
Yeah.
yeah, for special events. The special events here are not geared toward that. And then, if you look down at the bottom of the second page, call your attention to for no more than 2 consecutive days, that number 2,
I got that.
be sure that that's what you want, or if you want to increase that.
I would think more than 2 days.
So it's saying that they can only do it for 2 days?
As
So
this
the
is written,
convention is going on for a week?
yeah, that 2 days to me seemed a little short,
Yeah,
unnecessarily
right, okay,
short.
okay.
So if you want to give Mary what your thoughts are on changing that.
This is the first time tonight that still would require
Oh, yes.
two public hearings.
And,
It's
yeah,
gotta be
and
redrafted and then come back.
then the P and Z.
You're giving her guidance on how you want to see it drafted.
And of course, this is similar when you know, cities are going through this now, or started a couple of years ago, it's similar to garage sales. It is a waive for a period of time.
And mention one more thing that I saw.
Write that on your paper.
This requires food trucks, not special events, but just food trucks that are around. They have to be physically moved every day.
Yeah.
So I want to be sure
Yeah,
you're aware of that,
yes.
and that that is what you want. Some that we've had around here, they just stay there.
Right.
Okay. This
Like
requires them to be moved
Uh-huh.
on
Yeah,
site.
I did, I told her that, that if
Now,
I
if
take
it's just on someone's property, like Mr. Barrett and Mr. building, they wouldn't need to move there every day.
I think that's what this is saying.
But we don't need
You
to
don't
do
want
that,
that,
you know, we
so
don't
you
want
won't
that.
tell Mary tonight.
We don't want that.
Okay, make a little difference, yeah, okay.
That's all I have.
Now, are these being inspected as far as the health
See,
department?
we haven't done any of it. It
They will
was
do.
listed here that they, when they come to get an occupational license, they're gonna have to bring us the stuff from the state, and they're gonna have to, we went through everything that, in other words, from hotel motel, and inspection, so.
They have to do.
Very
Mhm.
restricted.
Right.
Very.
Everything a restaurant brings in here,
They're-
Yeah.
they're
to
everything
get their
a restaurant
occupational
or a hotel.
license, they'll have to.
Right.
Okay.
You have to be food certified under.
The mayor checked that out, I guess.
And the obvious question, permission of the owner of the property?
Yes, that's in here.
Okay,
I don't think you need any action, I think you're just giving Mary.
Yeah,
guidance.
I do want something to, so something we can get started on, because like I said, these guys are waiting to get started. And if we can get it started, then we can go ahead and set up my P and Z meeting.
Well, can you take what you just said and take back and have her amend it?
Okay.
Is that?
Yeah, you need that, because this is significant
Yeah.
changes.
Just have her amend whatever she needs to do.
could this be part of the special meeting?
That's even with.
No, there's really nothing else that we need to do.
Because of P and Z?
Yes,
Okay.
I mean, if, what do you think, Clay, do they need to sit again? This, what we're actually doing now is getting ready to make the application with this, right? So what you need from them is to tell you exactly what they want changed in it,
Right.
for you to get back to Sandra.
Mm-hmm.
You don't redraft and let the commission look at it, and you send it directly to P and Z, which is a recommendation from them back to the commission. You could have the commission make changes and send it back. That's the risk that you have.
Right.
So it's up to you how you want to handle it.
But I figured if we do it this way, then you get it done before, then you don't have to come back and change this.
I'm not sure what this way is.
See, when we get it right the first time, then they go through my P and Z, they're gonna go through their little process on it, right?
Right.
So when they go through their process, they're gonna pretty much go with whatever been put before them. But they do their research and everything. But then if it goes back to the city commission to change the land, to amend this LDR,
Well, it's gotta come back to the commission.
right, it's gonna come back. But then if you, like I said, if I don't get it right this time, then guess what, then that's a whole 2 more meetings.
That's exactly right. That's the
yeah.
reason for not taking it from here to P and Z, because you really haven't had the commission look at a final
Right.
product, but you're asking for
Can we
significant
get
changes.
that
So
done?
are you going to give her the, recommendations of changes that you stated tonight?
Is that something we could look at it on the 25th? Add it to the agenda on the 25th? Can it be
I can get it.
if it can be done by then?
Okay.
Okay.
If Clay will make all the notes and that way we can make sure.
I'll send you an email with my bullet point
Okay.
notes.
But one other thing now, did you all, you did get to do all throughout the city? Okay. There's your questions.
Okay, I think Bobby, you have a question?
I just wanna make a comment. Where I lived before, what often happened was if one food truck was able to rent a space on a piece of property, then 3 or 4 other food trucks might come. And so it made a little community of food trucks, and the owners would lock them up at the end of the day and come back in the morning. But it was nice for people in the community because they would have several choices of different kinds of food to come. Employees would come for lunches, people would stop to get dinner on their way home. So please consider that possibility too. That would be such a wonderful thing for Madison. It would really liven us up a little bit if we had places to eat that were diverse, you know?
That's a
So-
good point that you mentioned. The way this is written, we had only 1 per 1 acre. That was where we looked at in the middle of the first page, half an acre and 1 acre. They're limiting it to 1 food truck per half an acre, 2 per acre. If you don't wanna put limits on it, we just need to delete that provision.
I think we delete it.
Is, Mary, you're hearing that? we're not gonna limit the number on a 1 acre lot or a half an acre lot,
Oh, okay,
so that one goes away.
okay,
That would be up to the owner of the property,
yeah.
though.
Mhm. Okay.
Yes, sir? You got your hand up? What is it?
Yes, I'm a hot dog owner, cart owner. Now, she mentioned hot dog, do those qualifications stand for the hot dog carts too?
That's who,
Well, there's a separate provision in here for
Yes, I think it is.
a cart that
Right.
sells sandwiches that I didn't see anything that would be harmful or make it worse on those. They would be included in the process of being allowed within the city.
Cause actually with the hot dog cart, I looked it up and I sent it to her where you can actually go on the city property, you get permission from the city. Just like the lady told me about, she wanna be at the courthouse on that corner where the man used to be. Well, as long as I told her, so that's what I was really looking for.
There was a lady that had a hot dog thing right in front of the post office for quite a while. And I don't, nothing really happened, I mean, nothing was really brought up.
But hot dog carts are provided within here to be allowed.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and I forgot one thing. I spoke with Chuck today, guys, and he said, tell commissioners he's doing okay, but he's not the best, but keep praying for him.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any more discussion on that? Just wait till we get it. Okay, got it all for the agenda next. Okay, number 12, first reading of proposed ordinance 2018-5. Mr. White?
oh, yes, every year, there's a request for a moratorium on imposing impact and fees on water and wastewater. And our hope is that we don't hinder people from looking to have connections to those facilities and pay an astronomical amount of money. It could be discouraging, so as a result, this is, well, I just won't do it because it costs too much. So the moratorium served that purpose to allow them to at least have access to it based upon their ability to want to connect. And I think that ordinance has been given to Mr. Schneider. And I think he's going through it too, so.
Read my title. An ordinance of the city of Madison, amending ordinance number 2017-6, imposing temporary moratorium on impact fees for water and wastewater, providing for severability, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, and providing an effective date. This is first reading, and we'll go on up to the public second.
Okay.
So just need a motion and a second.
We have a motion and a second for the first reading. Make a motion to adopt ordinance number 2018-5. All in favor? Aye.
I will remind everyone, this is really a temporary moratorium, and the city needs to take some permanent action. This moratorium in for a year, but now that Mr. White is on board, maybe, he can keep this in mind so that the city can address whether we have them or not. Not just keep extending the temporary moratorium.
Monthly financial report.
Okay, the report is laid on the, out in front of your chairs. There are 11 months, one more month. 91.66%. Taxes. We've really collected our taxes this year, 96.6. You have any questions? Number out today?
Are there any unexpected things in it?
No, sir, there's not. You can see on the capital outlay, everybody stayed below their expenditures on capital outlay. Nobody's really even went within their budget. They've been way below budget on capital outlay items all this year.
In 2 pages, you make it pretty comprehensive, number of employees, expenses, revenues, debts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Is there any question? Okay, 14,
Okay, you'll find in your packets are the reports from your department heads. This is a continuing input that we will use every month. What it does is gives you the ability to see what those departments and their employees are doing other than their routine work during the day. Some of the input does talk about some routine things which must be addressed, but they do go above and beyond in a lot of areas to it. So that's for your convenience, or to read, and you can take a look, see. The same as in wastewater department, we recognized this morning, that's one of those above and beyond things too. So they're there for your reading.
And I wanna commend, Michael Dupree and his staff, trimming around the courthouse, it looks better than it's ever looked.
Exactly.
Yes, it looks good. Did a good job.
Any comments? City manager report?
Yes, ma'am. In your package, number 15, you'll find there are several items. I won't speak to all of them. We've covered some of them. But the mayor, Commissioner Thompson, Commissioner Patron, and I attended a retirement ceremony with Captain Willie McGee. The city presented Captain McGee with a certificate citing him for commendation for excellence. Very well attended. Thanks to the commission for hosting these special meetings on the CDBG grant, and also for hosting special meetings surrounding the North Florida Community College lawsuit. We spoke earlier this afternoon that they are in fact having a shade meeting, probably even as we speak. And I spoke with President John Roscoff Friday. Wanted to get a feel from him on how he thought it might go. He couldn't give me any input. But you should know, I'm sure you already know, that the city and the county has met the obligation that we thought was fair. So if they don't agree at their what's next Tuesday?
18.
Their 18th meeting, I'm not so sure where it goes from there. I would like to tell you something that's encouraging, but just don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. The Chamber of Commerce, along with this county, is expanding an event called Fleet Across Florida. You'll probably see it in the newspaper for this Friday, Saturday coming up. And what they wanted to do was to reserve the city park and allow people to bring out whatever goods they have that might want to sell, or add the fleet versus from Jacksonville to Pensacola via Highway 90. And so I did reserve the park for that purpose, and if people want to bring out things and people buy stuff, so then they want to bring it out. We will not do it on the streets because Friday is a business day, and of course it presents a hazard on the roadway, so it'll be in the park. So if you got stuff to sell, people in the public, they want to sell a generator, you want to sell a tractor, or people buy stuff. So they have lots of money to spend, and they're going to go from Jacksonville to Pensacola. So Friday are always the business days. It'll happen again on Saturday. I have spoken to the chief and his staff to just be aware of the additional vehicular traffic in the area, especially on that Friday,